I believe Jason had a question about a recent thing with him and his wife.
Yeah, I do. And
Okay.
she hurt me, man. She hurt me.
Okay.
For her and the things she's had go on medically, we knew that the doctor told us that she could no longer conceive kids.
Oh boy.
It would be a risk. So I did the deed, and I got the vasectomy done.
Even though she couldn't conceive.
Well, no, she could conceive, but it would have been very dangerous for her to do so.
Okay, so you went and sat on the pack of peas.
I did. And I had complications. My business swelled up to a watermelon.
Oh, yeah.
Did you take advantage of it?
Oh, I couldn't. I couldn't even feel it.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, not good.
Talk about being a porn star.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You know, and
hold on, Billy. I think you're confusing. It wasn't the Franks that swelled up; it was the beans.
Oh, there you go.
So well, it was pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the whole package. I didn't know it was the batteries and not the remote. I thought it was the batteries and the remote. But
no. It was the grapes and not the banana.
Okay, there you go.
I looked like Violet Beauregard when in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, it was like that.
It was like a watermelon with it looked
and
like
they rolled you to the juicing room.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
They rolled you to the juicing room. They got all the juice out.
That's pretty much what happened.
So your eggs were bad eggs.
Or did you juice yourself? Come on. Did you juice yourself? Who's juicing you at that point? You juiced yourself.
The man is confessing his deepest, darkest.
It was the emergency room that did the juicing.
Were they impressed? As long as the nurses were impressed, then it's a good thing for you.
They were horrified. Anyway.
Oh, they were horrified.
Yeah, it was not good. So anyway, the other day, we had some intimacy, and she said to me, I just don't feel like you're the same as before the surgery. After I went through everything, and I'm stinging, man.
Yeah, that's a stinger. That one hurts. You know what you do? You say, you know our neighbor Morty over there that mows the lawn every day, and you've been pining for him for years. I know, I see you. I watch you.
What?
Why don't you have one with Morty, and you'll see how terrible he is, and then you'll appreciate me more. Yeah, I think she's got to give her a hall pass. Once she's an emotional wreck, then she'll come crying back to you and your fat privates and beg for it. Of course, I'm kidding. I think what you do is you talk it out. You talk it out and say, listen, I got my big vein snipped for you. I went out of my way. I got injured. And then I'm trying here. I'm really trying. And, you take what used to be my pointy genitals and you stab me in the back with them. And it doesn't feel good.
No.
Now, Justin's worried about Morty.
I mean, the problem is, what if Morty comes in and he's a rock star and brings the heat? Then all of a sudden your wife's living next door with Morty, and you got to deal with that.
Well, you get the whole king size bed. There's a bonus.
True. But all of a sudden he comes over to borrow your lawnmower, and he's like, "Hey, man," and you're like, "Hey, man, you got my wife. That's enough. You're not taking my chainsaw."
It depends on what Morty's wife looks like too. You know, you could go sailing on a sailboat with Morty to Santorini, and you can have yourself a good time.
And she's not bad.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think what you need to do is be swingers. Have a key party. Have a key party, just like in the ice storm. It'll go great.
Party. Yeah, key party seems to make sense in most problems in life.
I do feel like it's worth a shot.
Always worth a shot. I mean, how do you know if you don't try it?
Right.
Yeah, it's better than living with the insults. The insults hurt.
He did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also feel like there might be a lawsuit there because maybe when they were, shrinking beach balls, maybe they took a couple inches off the pump is all I'm saying. So you might want to go back and look at like a before and after photo to make sure that they didn't like just errantly start, cutting hems off of things. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like a bad Disney movie.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
A bad Disney movie. Honey, they shrunk my love tools.
It's time for a remake. All right, Billy.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. I always give the best advice.
Well, thanks for coming back on. Go ahead, Jason.
I said, hopefully we'll see you again real soon. We really appreciate all this advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always here, especially during the off season while Kawhi is nursing his bad knee. I'm going to have a lot of time this year It's going to be a lot of time for my advice. So call me, chat me, Facebook me, knock on my door. You know where I live. I'm always here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Crystal.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Thanks, Billy. Thank you so much.
We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Parents' Lounge. I'm your host, Jason Gowin, and with me as always is my partner in crime, Mr. Jamie Kaler.
How are you, Jason?
I am living the dream, my friend. What's new this week?
We got a humdinger of a show tonight, man.
I am so excited for this because Greg Newkirk and Dana and I, we go back a ways. Greg and I started together in 1998. So we've got a bit of a history.
It's the perfect Halloween show. Really quick, they're going to come out in a few minutes, but tell people what they're in for tonight.
Tonight is the very special Halloween episode of the Parents' Lounge. We're going to go a little bit into the parenting stuff, but for the most part, we're going to stick in the realm of the spooky, because coming from the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult, and from the hit series Hellier, Greg and Dana Newkirk will be joining us in just a few minutes, and it is going to be a party. So go ahead and pour yourself a glass of your favorite beverage, or abstain like Mr. Kaler this evening, and party along with us and have a little Halloween spirits with us.
That's very funny you say that. I have to be very honest with our, you know me, honesty to a fault, really.
Oh, right? It's honestly painful.
Trust me, I have to live with me all the time. And sometimes I say things that are totally honest, but people are, they go, like my friend texted me today and he goes, what? He goes, hey, I'm dropping something by your house. I go, I'm not there. I'm at a physical. He goes, why did you share that? The I'm not home part was more than enough. And I was like, just because I am. And so I have to be very honest with everybody tonight. Very, very, I guess, somber news for this evening in the Parents' Lounge, Jason. And it's hard for me to even talk about this, but are
you okay? Are you okay? I feel like I'm about to get really bad news.
Well, I'm not drinking tonight. Trust me. Listen, I know. Even I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Who are you?
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I had a physical today, and he didn't tell me not to drink. I'm really honest to a fault.
Wait, this is self-inflicted?
It was, well, it's partially self-inflicted. He goes, how you been? And it's been a year since I had the physical. And I go, to be honest with you, pretty much drinking every day. I've been drinking. He goes, really? I go, yeah, I'm not waking up drinking vodka in the morning, but 5 or 6 at night when I'm starting to make dinner, I have a glass of wine or two, and then I'm in bed by
the antioxidants.
Yes, that's what I said. I'm living the Mediterranean diet. That's what I'm doing, without the olives and the cheese and the goat milk, whatever. A lot of wine, French,
and chicken parm. You guys have a chicken parm.
I make chicken parm, that, with the kids and stuff. So so he was cool, and he wasn't like that. But he goes, "Oh, we'll run some tests." Of course, all the tests come back absolutely perfect. I'm like in ragingly good health. But just before I left, he goes, "Hey, real quick, you need a shingles shot." And I go, "Oh, shingles shot?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a shingles shot. It's not a big deal." And I go, "How am I is it gonna affect me?" He goes, "No, a little bit better than getting shingles." My mother had shingles, by the way. Do you know anyone who's ever had shingles?
No, I honestly, other than the roofing, I don't know
It's
much
really
about
bad. Like my mother had it when I was younger, and it was like, I don't know. You've seen Terry Bradshaw on those commercials, man. It's the last thing you want. So I was like, yeah, that sounds fine. So he gave me a shingle shot, and now I feel like shit. I feel absolutely terrible, man. But at least I guess I'm not going to get shingles anytime soon. So I'm drinking tea. So because of that, and the fact that I'm not really tearing it up tonight, I'm watching children because my wife's out. So the kids are in the other room. So if you see me running away, it's because I'm probably heading to the emergency room.
Honestly, at this point, nothing surprises me when you're on the other end of this.
Nothing surprises me.
Nothing.
So we're adding a special Halloween show this Thursday with Claire Kramer and our other buddy, Kate
Mulligan, yes.
Mulligan, your favorite. And so we're going to do a little Moms and Dads Halloween special this Thursday night, 7 p.m.
Special guests dropping in.
And a lot of special guests are dropping in because we had mentioned about like bringing out photos from our old Halloweens. So we're going to do that. And we're going to have some special guests come in and tell some crazy Halloween stories. So Thursday night, come back for Spirits and Wine.
Yeah.
And
we'll speaking of Halloween stories, our guests have arrived. And I am super excited for this one.
It's a big one.
It's a huge one.
Take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my baby brother and his lovely bride, Greg and Dana Newkirk.
Hey!
Hello!
Hey, everybody. How are you guys doing?
We're hanging in there. How are you guys?
Well, it's spooky season, you know. We're trying to maintain without losing our minds.
Honestly, I was surprised we were able to book you with such short notice during.
Oh, I can't say no to you. I moved stuff to do this tonight.
Oh,
that's how much I love you.
And how much I love you. Look what I broke out.
Oh
no! This bitch still fits.
I can't believe that is so old.
This is the original. This is the original ones we had printed.
That's crazy. You still have one.
I have a green one, but it wasn't one of the originals. I don't know what happened to my originals. I think I might have sent it to you.
I have an original. I think I have one of the black and white originals.
Back when I was flirting with her.
Got
that good merch back in the day.
You don't flirt anymore?
I mean, do you need to anymore?
Our flirting is mostly teasing. I think that's what it's evolved into.
We just get off on being mean to one another now.
You're hit that phase.
Oh, that's so weird. That's my relationship. That's crazy.
I have literally told you I want you to fight with me more.
Yeah.
We've actually had that discussion.
Yeah. We got a real bully.
By the time I'm in my 50s or 60s, I'm going to be hung up on a cross and being smacked and punched.
You just
on Barkley Mountain?
Headed in that direction.
So, as I said, Greg and I started doing a little thing called ghost hunting in the fall of 1998.
Before it was a thing.
Yeah, way before it was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Greg and I bonded over a little television show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Our good friend Claire Kramer, who couldn't be. She desperately wanted to be here tonight because she wanted to meet you guys, and she wanted to do the show because we were kind of telling stories on the last episode, and she found out you were coming. She's like, "No, I have a thing," and I was like,
"She's a presenter at the Saturn Awards or something."
She's winning an award. She's getting an award tonight.
I think she's presenting an award. She'll probably take it, but I think she's presenting it and then taking it. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where the line between Glory ends and Claire begins. I don't know, actually.
I love that that's real. Glory was always one of my very favorite big bads. So I love the idea that Glory is like real and out there and just being bitchy to everybody.
Mostly me.
Bitchy to everybody.
Bitchy in the best way possible. That's what I mean.
Well, she's the mom of 4. She's not. Just 4 kids, man.
Jeez.
Sometimes you just gotta be it.
She's it. She's got it. Gloria's the best big bad.
Yeah, she was. I would agree with that.
Yeah, she was fantastic. That was one of my favorite arcs.
Yeah.
That whole thing was super awesome.
super Buffy nerdism going on in here right now.
Yep.
I mean, I remember watching the Buffy series finale at your place.
That's true.
We drove out to your place and we watched it together, and had a little,
like a married couple.
I mean, we basically were. None of us had girlfriends. We couldn't get girlfriends, so we hung out with each other. We went on strange adventures.
Yeah.
Although, speaking of not being able to get girlfriends, you should tell Jamie how we actually met by a little thing called the TWF.
Yes. You'll notice that I had phrased that we bonded over ghost hunting for a very specific reason. All right. So you've probably gathered this by now, Jamie, but I was a little on the nerdy side.
Wait, what? So shocked.
This is a special brand of nerd, though.
So I was part of a backyard wrestling, trampoline wrestling league.
Actually, I remember everybody was doing that.
No. No. I was think still in middle school, maybe just going into high school.
You were in ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Yeah.
Jason and I knew each other because of IRC, Internet Relay Chat, which was, proto messenger. and and Jason invited me and one of my friends to be heels, bad guys who don't follow wrestling, bad guys in the TWF, and I had no idea what we were signing up for. But when we got there, Jason was like, just wear your Hawaiian shirts, put those Hawaiian shirts on, and
Greg did wear unironically.
I did. I had a thing. Oh, it's Buffy. I want to be Xander.
Xander's influenced all of the dudes in the 90s.
It's true. It's just so sad. He goes, so just wear those Hawaiian shirts and just beat the shit out of this guy. We didn't know that the guy was actually like a 7-8-year-old kid. So the audience,
somebody in the thing.
You had a gigantic trampoline and custom built turnbuckles on the trampoline. And they had a lighting setup and MCs doing live MCing in a backyard.
Is there video?
There is, but it's not going to see the light of day. I'll tell you.
Oh, it has to. Not tonight, but that video's coming out, man. That video,
my biggest problem is
this up and not show the video.
It's all on VHS tapes.
You guys were going at it and stuff. Honestly, if you were doing that today with like a YouTube channel, you'd have 18 million followers, especially beating up the 7-year-old. Oh my God, you'd make so much money.
It shows the wrong career path, I think.
Yeah.
Did you know? Did you? So Greg asked me, Greg, take us on the next part of the journey. What happened then? Where did we go from there?
Okay, so we decided one night we wanted to scare the living daylights out of our friend Nick. We came up with this idea in gym class. And again, because of Buffy, we were very into LARPing, and we were making steaks in wood shop, and we were going and hanging out at like a local cemetery, just LARPing. Just what would it be like? What would this be like? And one day we said, let's do one of these nights where we go vampire hunting. We actually called it vampire hunting. We're going to go vampire hunting, but we'll have someone hide in the cemetery and we'll scare our friend Nick. And Jason was who we asked. I mean, we were like, oh, Jason will hide. And so Jason, you got, I think, Bo and Chicken, didn't you?
Yeah, that is correct.
And they hid in the cemetery. We went to the cemetery. Everything went totally like we would normally do a vampire hunt, except there were small hints that something was wrong. like the Blair Witch twigs hanging from the trees, which dates, it tells you when this is happening.
Hardcore 98.
And then what did you had a set of night vision you had a night vision monocle.
I did, yeah, so I could watch the entire thing.
Because everyone kept going, what's that weird red light out in the cornfield? What's that red light in the cornfield? And we just, oh no, that's a tower. And then Jason and Bo and well, it was only Jason and Bo jumped out, scared the living shit out of Nick. He had literally pulled a sword out. He had a sword with him.
If you look at very early, I mean, let's just be honest, most photos, group photos of GHI for back in the day,
which is Ghost Hunters Incorporated. Which was
thank you, because I was like, GHI, what?
Yeah, that was the name of our group. Yeah.
You will see a group of young men all brandishing weapons of various shapes and sizes. Sometimes you'll see crossbows. Other times
brought a crossbow.
Other times you'll
see a grappling hook.
A grappling hook.
Someone
we had
with
a flail too. There was a flail too.
Someone also had a curtain rod at one point in time. But it is, you'll see weapons. You'll see, a flail. I've seen axes. I've seen BB guns. I've seen like the fact that none of you shot one another with the crossbows.
Oh no, we did shoot each other with the crossbows.
Oh, okay.
We just didn't hit each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good.
Nowadays, there'd be an intervention. You'd all be suspended.
Yes.
You'd all be like, they'd be in a mental institution.
Well, the parents tried, but no matter how bad the parents tried, it just kept coming back together.
My dad was a Baptist minister, and he really
says a lot.
Hated what we were into.
Really? Oh, he really did? He didn't like vampire hunting to the local cemetery?
There were many, many church meetings that involved me, that involved Gal, that involved our other friends.
Well, the funny thing too is like this is in 1998, so this is way before the ghost hunting trend became a thing. So people probably also had no idea what you were actually
people
even
thought
doing.
we were grave robbers. Yeah. That was the big one.
Well, at the time, kind of to preface that, at one of the places that was reportedly haunted that we went to, there actually was a problem with grave robbing happen. So people thought we were connected, even though we weren't.
Grave robbers. We were in we were all in a cult worshiping the devil. Yeah, you name it. I mean, I'm sure there were some people just thought we were banging.
There were some events back then too, weren't there? What was there was the one murder that they thought the guy they were doing Satan worshiping, right? There's a big documentary. The 3 kids that went to jail.
Oh yeah,
and then
they
realized they didn't do it.
The
Memphis 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a similar era. You were really you were begging to be arrested, is what you were.
The satanic panic thing. That I mean, I feel like that's sort of coming back these days, but it was huge at the time that we were ghost hunting. And I remember we used to joke about a local group that we nicknamed Mothers Against GHI, because there were moms that would call each other and say, if Jason Gowin, if Greg Newkirk, if they call you your son and have them come with them on a ghost hunt, don't let them go, because they're into the occult and yada yada, all that good stuff.
So Greg, take us into our first actual brush with almost death.
Which one?
The very first one on Barkley Mountain.
Oh shit. So we did. Okay. All right. Get this. So this is one of my favorite stories. One of the first times that we started to go to bigger cemeteries, like there was this crazy one, Barkley Cemetery. It's way up in the mountains. There's just only
Jamie's been here now, so he knows what it's like here.
Oh yeah. So imagine way up in those mountains. There's an old mining cemetery. It's the only relic left.
It looks like a movie set. It doesn't even look like it's real. It's like it literally looks like a set in Buffy. Like you're walking into like a fog-filled cemetery in the middle of nowhere, and you're like Spike's gonna walk out of the trees and say something snarky.
That's why we liked it so much. It's the only remnant left of a whole town that used to exist up there. It was a mining town, and the cemetery is either miners or literal miners, like dead pickaxe guys. Yeah, that's what they're called. Anyway, we found this place and we said this is a perfect place to go on a ghost hunt. So we had like 2 carloads. I'm trying to remember who drove. I know
I was one of the drivers.
Was it Chicken or Bo that was in the other one?
Chicken was in my car, so Bo had to have been the driver on that.
There's like a dozen kids armed to the hilt with like axes and curtain rods and BB guns and all kinds of stupid stuff. And to get to the cemetery, there's a dirt road And it's one of those dirt roads where the grass still grows in the middle because no one's ever going down it. And this place was abandoned at the time. It wasn't being taken care of. It's in good shape today, but back then it was the wilderness.
Forgotten. I mean, basically
totally forgotten. And so there's this one lane road. There's only 2 tire tracks you can follow, and it gets to a dead end. And we pull off on that. And it has to be 12:30, 1 in the morning, if not later at this point.
During the middle of the week.
During the middle of the week. And we're going down this 1 lane dirt road, and we see headlights. And there's no reason anyone should be up there in the middle of the night unless they're parking. They could have been parking. We've run into that a bunch of times. But the headlights just sat there. And we both sat there. And we had walkie-talkies on us. So we're like walkie-talkieing back to each other, asking what's going on. No one knows. And for at least 5 minutes, we just sat there having this standoff. And then this slowly, very slowly, this truck creeps by. And this guy kind of like leans out and stares. And he sees all these kids with all these crazy medieval weapons and stuff, kind of glares at us, and then just keeps on driving. That whole night, I mean, we had lots of crazy stuff happen that night. Bits of coal thrown at us. People were being touched and poked. And there was one of our friends, Nick, the same one we went to scare. He kept trying to get us to go down to where this dirt pile was. And we're like, there's nothing down there, Nick. It's just a dirt pile. It's just a dirt pile. And we're glad we ignored him because we found out within a few days that we were right there when a body that had just been shot was
How many
dumped.
times?
12 times, I think, with a 22.
Well, 20 times at home, and then another 12 in the cemetery.
Oh my God. And so, this guy was caught because he had blood dripping out of his truck bed at the local gas station. And it's a small town. Like, everybody knows everybody. People, will call the police over anything in this town. And that was the night that we almost stumbled into a dead body and never went ghost hunting again.
Or were almost murdered.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Almost murdered. There's probably too many of us. Somebody would have got him. Bill would have got him with the curtain rod.
Yeah.
The best part about this story, though, is it has a really interesting ending that came like a decade later. I love this. So a few years after that, my sister's begging me to take her ghost hunting, begging me to take her ghost hunting. And so I was like, well, listen, I'll take you to Barkley because that's the best place we have to have any kind of weird experience. Let's go up there. She wanted to bring her boyfriend and one of their friends. I was like, I don't want to drive. I'm not taking any equipment. This is purely a sightseeing job. So let's go. So we get up there and they're terrified. We have no flashlights. We can hear little kids laughing at the end of the cemetery, and they're freaked out. They're looking at me. I'm laughing because I'm like, you wanted this. This is what you wanted. So just start talking, just play hide and seek. So they're talking, and I look over and I see a guy 50, 75 yards away, and he's wearing overalls, and he looks like a hunter. He looks like he's out there hunting. And I got scared because you can't hunt up there, even though it's the middle of the night. You're not supposed to, it's the middle of nowhere. So I wanted to make our presence known. So I yell over. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And the guy turns and he looks at me. And then he just turns back and he walks into the woods. I'm trying to figure out what happened until this cold chill runs down my spine. And I realize that man never made any noise as he was walking through the brush. And I think I just saw a ghost. This guy didn't look out of time. He looked totally normal. He was wearing overalls. He was bald. He had a beard. And I thought about that forever because I was like, this is one of the craziest experiences I've ever had. And I think that's how a lot of ghost experiences are, where you don't know that something's weird until it happens. Like, how many ghosts have we interacted with this way? Well, years after that, 7, 8, 9 years after that, Jason is like, hey, why don't you come and we'll do a Halloween show at the theater. So I come down, we're hanging out, we're staying at his place. And I start talking about the story, and he's like, hang on a second. And he texts a friend. And then he turns and he shows me this picture and he goes, was this the guy? And I'm like, blood runs cold. It's the exact same guy that I saw in the cemetery. It's the fucking guy who was shot.
Ah! I can't. You're freaking me out, dude. You're freaking me out. Did he have like 12 holes? Could you see the moonlight?
When he drank water, it just kind of poured out.
He shoots out. Did he go, if only you were 2 hours earlier? Why did you wait so long?
God, I know. Parents, we had to tell our parents that we were all sleeping at each other's houses when we all snuck out. What we used to do is we would go to our friend Matt's house, and then we would go run out into this field, and we knew when we saw headlights flash 3 times, that was Jason.
It was me, because I was the only one that could drive at that time, because I had my driver's license first.
He would just see all these kids pop up out of the cornfield, come running towards the car.
So Greg and I have a theory that actually that the creators of Stranger Things just stole all our stories and wrote the show.
Well, as you were telling it, I was like, first of all, that's the first act of a movie right there. You already have the location. Just let it go overgrown for a week or two. You can shoot the thing out in like 10 days. You can knock it out. I mean, listen, you're all getting killed. That's just how the movie has to go.
Listen,
there's
plenty of people who still tell our own stories in that town, and in them, we're dead.
Yeah, that happened. That happened to me where I went to there's a church, which I'm sure we're going to get to. That I came in and they told me the story that happened to us. And then they're like, and they all died. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not how that story ends. Cause I'm actually right here and I can show you where at least 3 of the other guys are.
Right now, there's a dude somewhere in prison telling a story of like, almost got away with, but those meddling kids, kids, I should have killed them all. What was I thinking about?
We were those meddling kids.
Mm-hmm.
His problem was he'd already used all 12 bullets on one guy. That was a mistake. Next time you have to partition. You got to ration out the bullets. You can't use them all on one guy. You might have 8 kids coming up in 2 cars. You got to save a few bullets for those guys.
Or save the last one from yourself. I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
And he wasn't wearing a monster suit.
Plus, you don't make sure your tank's full before you put the dead body in the trunk. You got to go to a gas. I mean, this dude is asking because you fill it with gas, then you take the body up, then you find a hose out listen, I'll write up a treatise. We'll get this whole thing.
How many times have you done this?
Yeah, right.
Well, I grew up in New Hampshire, and it was funny because when I drove from Buffalo to Sayre. I left at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I got to Sayre at 4 o'clock in the morning. And driving through those pitch black hills was scary, dude. That place is scary. There are places, and that's all I thought about the whole time I was here. I was like, man, you can hide bodies here left and right.
They do.
They do.
You want to kill people? This is the place. This is Mecca for killing people.
So at that point, we find out that there's an all-female ghost hunting group in Canada that contains Mrs. Newkirk.
Yes.
How did you come to pass with this ragtag bunch?
You were the Bengals of ghost hunting?
You were.
We kind of were. We were.
Maybe even the Go-Go's. You might have been the first.
Well, we were the Girly ghost hunters. My friends and I, my sister and my cousin and our best friend, we were a group of Canadian weirdos, and we were really into ghosts and we were really into the paranormal. And again, this is like 2000. So this is before, paranormal television is a thing. I think at that time, like Scariest Places on Earth was a show, and like MTV's Fear was a show that was on, but it was sort of before reality television. And so we just kind of started looking around on the internet to see if people were looking into the paranormal, if there were groups of people who were looking into the paranormal. And we found this group of people the same age as us, this young group of guys from Pennsylvania. And we messaged you guys. I remember because I actually have screenshots from our old GeoCities message boards.
Do you really?
It was the gift. You know what it was? It was, I have the message boards, but it was, we initially were leaving messages in our guest books. Do you remember guest books? Like that, you could like leave them back and forth. So we saw that there was this group and they were investigating and they were really funny and they were younger people, because at this point in time, we really couldn't find anyone on the internet who was like the same age as us. It was a lot of, older people, and we would message them. And because we were a group of females, and we really, we were pretty young. We were all in our late teens and early 20s. Most people kind of really weren't interested in wanting to know us or have anything to do with us.
We were
not taking us very seriously. But then we found this group of people that are the same age as us. And so we started having a conversation, and it was actually Ghost Hunters Inc. who kind of gave us the idea, start your own website. Because at this point in time, again, it's before social media. So that's what you had to do, is you had to have a website. So
GeoCities was the place to go.
GeoCities, baby. Yep. So
that was Yahoo. That was Yahoo's brainchild.
It was. And so we started a GeoCities website, like the Ghost Hunters Incorporated website. And we sort of started documenting our own adventures all over Ontario. And we were just, looking for ghosts and going to weird places. And so for a period of time, we were kind of like a brother and sister team. Like we sort of supported each other and we enjoyed each other's content, and then it all went south. It went bad.
What happens? It's a band. Made that,
young people.
Egos get involved.
So
no, this is worse.
We really wanted to come and investigate in Bradford County because you had the best locations, and I grew up in a big city, and we were investigating a lot in Ontario and around Toronto, I'm from Kitchener, which is just outside of Toronto. So our choices were, having to get permission to go and investigate a lot of places. We didn't have a lot of abandoned places to go. And so Ghost Hunters Inc. obviously had amazing spots, because everywhere in Troy and Bradford County is haunted. It is the hell.
And also, we were not afraid of breaking and entering.
There was a lot of breaking and entering happening back in the time.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the ghosts in Ontario just super nice?
They're really nice,
really cool. Aren't they like? Don't they say sorry a lot? They go, "Sorry, I scared you." Sorry.
No, they say sorry. Sorry. And they say a lot. But yeah, so we really wanted to come and investigate, and so we made a date, and we planned for our group to come to Troy and meet up with you guys, and basically have you guys take us around to different locations. So this was all, we were ready to go. It was going to be super fun. We were going to do a cross country thing. And then 2 days before we were set to come out, apparently every member of GHI's grandmother died.
We were nervous. What teenage boys, when a bunch of young women their age go, we want to come down and stay with you guys. We were
we're going to go, we're ghost hunting. It's going to be so fun.
And we all went.
Everybody's grandma died that day.
But that's all you guys talked about on those ghost hunts. I'm sure you eight of you were in the car going, wouldn't it be great if there went some girls here? Great. And then all of a sudden a bunch of girls are like, we love ghosts too. And you're like, ah.
You're like,
terrified.
So that pretty
terrified
much,
of it.
That started the war days.
And then Dana and her friends got a TV show. And
I think that made.
I was jelly. I'm going to be honest. I'm man enough now to admit it. I was jealous. I was a little jealous.
So we all were. We were young boys.
Yeah. But so after not speaking for many, many years, I was sitting at home one afternoon in 2006, and my friend Nicole, who is also a member of Girly Ghost Hunters, calls me, and I pick up the phone, and she says, "Those guys from Pennsylvania are here, and they're filming me."
Oh, wait, you're forgetting a big part of this. Our rift got so bad that we recreated their website, but all of us in drag.
Yeah.
And then we SEO bombed it. So when people looked for them, they found our website with us in drag as them, just filled with terrible quotes.
Yeah.
Which also, by the way, had we done now, we would have been canceled immediately.
Oh, for sure.
Immediately.
But this is,
honestly, the two of you guys, I have one question. How in your whole life did you ever have sex? I really want to know.
What's sex? What do you mean?
I don't understand the question.
We did the same thing. When I was in my teens, I was out driving around in the woods, but we were drinking beers and trying to have as much sex as humanly possible.
So Greg and I went the other way with that, in which case we would dress up in costumes, fill up water guns, and shoot the people who were having parties getting drunk. dressed in Scream costumes.
We used to make little we used to take like flour and put it in little napkins and tie it up, and then when you spray somebody with the water gun, you hit them with the flour and it'd take forever to get off. So we would find out. We were so serious, we were looking up satellite imagery of people's backyards, so we knew when they had a party where we could enter the woods and really screw it up.
So we
Did you
never
guys get
got
beat
laid
up?
until just fairly recently.
Did you guys ever get beat up by a bunch of jocks at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. Then
absolutely.
everything's falling into place.
Yeah.
Okay, I was confused
Yeah.
for a second. I was
Yeah.
okay.
In
I get
fact, Bo, who I mentioned earlier, used to beat the living crap out of me and my friends in high school. And then one day we asked him, will you come ghost hunt with us and not just scare people in the cemetery? And from that point on, he was so nice. All he wanted to
be
do.
included. He just wanted to be part of the team. That's all.
And then the cool thing about everything we did back then is that we filmed literally everything. So you like basically have a running anthology from like 99 when we first got a camera till basically now of everything that we've and of all the people who were in Ghost Hunters Incorporated, Greg and I are the only two still standing.
It's true. I think we're the only two that have any interest in this anymore.
Wait, you said still standing. I thought they were all dead. Are you saying they are just not ghost hunting anymore?
Well,
They're
one of them's a
insurance
used
brokers?
car salesman. One of them's a cop. Who are the other people?
One of them, I think,
You
didn't
guys
one
are
of them
kind of the
become
Tiger
popular?
Woods. I mean, you found your passion early and you just followed it right to
One
the
of the
end.
girls is in Australia.
Really?
Lindsay lives in
So
Australia.
I want to hear
I'm not
about Dana's.
kidding.
I want to hear about Dana's TV show.
Yeah.
Oh
Tell us
my
about
God.
the Girly
Out of
Go-
nowhere,
Yeah.
these guys thought they were the cool kids in town, and then they
Yeah.
turned around for 1 second and they're like, "Wait, Dana's on TV."
We got our
Talk about
comeuppance for sure.
We always made jokes. Well, I still make this joke that we Girly Ghost Hunters, which was the name of the show, we were on 6 months before Ghost Hunters, so we beat them by 6 months. But we got one season and they got like 20 seasons. So
It's still going. It's still
it's
going.
still happening. But yeah, it was basically a show about my friends and I literally traveling all across Canada in a Winnebago, and we went to all of these incredible haunted places in Canada that again, at the time, you have to remember, like, this is before ghost hunting TV was a thing. So we were just like so psyched to be getting access to all of these places that, had never allowed people to come in and do anything like this before. So yeah, it was a fun thing. And it was just I got to hang out with my friends and we got to go travel around and investigate these incredible places. But yeah, it definitely created some butthurt, I think. A little bit of butthurt.
I feel like there's a reboot coming. We did Friends, Will and Grace. It feels like Girly
More
Ghost Hunters should be
Also,
coming back.
though, much like Ghost Hunters Incorporated, I am the last person standing from Girly Ghost Hunters. No one else is really interested in the paranormal anymore.
Everyone grew up.
They all
No.
moved on.
You are like the den mother.
Yes,
You're still a kid, but you get a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds and you go on the road.
I love it.
Yeah, you sell Girl Scout
what they
cookies
did
on the
with Mighty
side.
Ducks. They brought back Emilio Estevez with all new kids.
Boom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's something here.
And
turn
actually,
into a
each
development meeting?
season, it's like the real world where there's a survivor. Like
No, you got to vote them off.
elimination.
each new
Vote them out of the
season
winning.
is one, and then they each go. Like whoever shows the most fear or the most, I don't know, whoever doesn't get eaten by a ghost, they go.
Oh, there you
Ooh,
go.
Girly Ghost Hunters.
I
Academy.
really
I like
think
where this
that's
is
hot.
going.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you could make a dirty version of it and sell it in a heartbeat. You can make a lot of money.
probably.
I apologize in advance for anything that comes out of his mouth.
I believe OnlyFans is a great place to make money. From what I've understood,
That's what I hear.
I don't know. Some of those
So-
girls look scared sometimes, so I don't know.
What was that like for you, Dana? I mean, number one, you were an all-girl team, but you were also one of the first to have your own TV show. What was it like for you?
It was so the experience itself was obviously really fun. And we got to pick all of our locations, and we got to do the research for all of the locations and then actually investigate them. So the experience was actually really fun, but the aftermath of it was like a totally, unbearable experience, because you just sort of like, again, if you take at this point in time for women and put them on television looking for ghosts. You are inevitably going to get, people making fun of you and all that kind of stuff. And again, remember, we were young people at the time. So like the idea of like us getting scared and screaming, I mean, it happens, right? Like that's part of some people
part of the appeal.
I still get scared and scream half the time. So it was fun, and it was a great experience. And then after the fact, it was sort of like still kind of fun, but it was just a lot of like, you get a thick skin, like you just sort of, anytime you make something or you're a part of something, there's always going to be that kind of negative, and so you get a thick skin about it. And so it was sort of the first time we experienced what that would be like. And it kind of, I think for some of the girly ghost hunters, it was like too much. And that was one of the reasons why they decided to kind of split off and stop doing a lot of that sort of stuff. But it didn't really, like you guys, you had your experiences where you wouldn't investigate for a few years and then you kind of go back out there and do something different. So that's what it was like for me. I took a few years off. And then, like I said, one day I got a phone call from my friend Nicole, who told me that these guys were at her work with a camera, literally filming her. And I was very confused and I didn't really understand what was happening. And so I talked to Greg on the phone. Greg, it's funny because like Jason said, he films everything. Everything's been filmed. So like our very first conversation is actually our first meeting of all of us is filmed. Camera. Like it was turned into a thing. And so we, so Jason and Greg was moving to Seattle and he felt bad and he was on kind of a pilgrimage of apology to a bunch of people. And a Girly Ghost Hunters was one of the group of people that he wanted to apologize to.
It was my birthday too. So we went on my birthday. We rented a car and drove to Canada.
Yeah, they literally drove to Canada with no actual information, like as far as like our addresses or anything.
We knew you had lived in this town 5-6 years ago.
It's not a town; it's a city.
It's the second largest city in Ontario.
City. Like it's a
we just got
massive, huge.
I've
city.
never been.
Did you see the married couple come out there, Jamie? Like it was like every.
It's an incredible thing.
I'm trying to see. I've heard some origin stories of the superhero characters. I'm trying to see the storyline in the film where those two end up together. Talk about your first date and who asked who out and obviously you go to where he's shooting.
Well, so Greg and Jason show up in Canada and they literally start driving around they knew that one of my friends, one of the Girly Ghost Hunters, worked at Zehrs, which is a very popular like grocery store in Canada. They went to like 2 or 3 of them with printed out pictures of us, and they found someone who recognized Nicole. They sent them to the one that Nicole worked at, and these two literally walked up to her in the meat department where she was working with these photos of her, and were like, "Hey, it's us."
The worst part is I made a joke that flopped so hard.
He said, "Do you know where the blueberries are?"
And she went, "What about my boobs?"
So like,
I'm like, "Oh no,
we don't have that
cereal.
We don't have that cereal.
They didn't have blueberry in Canada.
No, so it was very confusing. So that was that night we went on our first group ghost hunt. And then Jason and Greg went back to PA.
No, we slept in a Walmart parking lot.
You did.
In a car.
You did. Because we didn't want you sleeping on our couches because we still thought you were probably murderers.
That's fair. That's fair.
And you gotta give it to them though. They took a picture and just walked around town.
They did. They were like, this girl.
Genius.
He and I were listening to the Blues Brothers theme songs while we were driving around, and after we found them, we could not stop self-flagellating ourselves because we were like, "Oh my God, we're such good detectives."
You are. They're really good. They're really good.
Yeah.
I mean, how big is Kitchener? What is the rough population?
So the population, so technically it's considered Kitchener, Waterloo. And so it's those two cities together. I mean, it's like 500,000 people, but we're literally like attached to Toronto. So we're just like one massive, huge city at this point in time.
So like, I think we deserve some credit, Greg. I feel like we did all right.
Definitely, it was impressive. And like the fact that you found someone who knew, like there are hundreds of people who work at Zehrs. So the fact that you found someone who recognized Nicole and like could point you in the right direction, it was, I think, meant to be. I always like to do it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Greg and I kept in touch. We all kept in touch at that point. And it was like 9 months later, after Greg had moved to Seattle, I made plans to come in. This is technically our first date.
I was like, why don't you come out? So our first date was like 3 months long.
Yeah, it was 3 months long. Which is where we really kind of started looking for ghosts and weird stuff together.
Right. Yeah. Back up. Dude invites you. Guy who's kind of a creeper. He likes to throw flower water on people. Like he's a weird dude. He's up in the mountains and cemeteries, which is obviously what you dig. Everybody likes something. I like that. He calls and go. You didn't go on a date while he was in Toronto.
No,
he runs into your friend, but you didn't. That's what I got lost in the story.
Okay, so when he finds Nicole, Nicole tells me, "Oh, they're here." And so that night, as a group, we all went out on a ghost hunt together. So that was the first night that we met.
So basically,
it wasn't even like, let's meet for drinks. Nobody meets for drinks anymore. You just go, let's meet for a ghost hunt.
We literally went for.
We weren't those kind of people.
You guys are the perfect couple.
Yeah.
Right. So then, but nothing happens on the ghost. Like there's no like if I was saying in high school I'm going on a ghost hunt, I'm getting drunk at the drive-in. That's a ghost hunt to me. You literally went on a ghost hunt. No alcohol was involved.
No.
None.
And
then the next, that's it. One night, one ghost hunt. The next day, he goes, adios, amigo. Fun ghost hunt.
That night. We left that night and slept in a Walmart parking lot.
Wow. You guys have, okay. And then that dude calls you out of the blue 3 months later and says, hey, you should come out here. And you go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. And you just got in your car and went. I'm not sure.
So you were already sweet on
you
him
seem
at this
crazier,
point, right?
You're crazier.
So this is at this point in time on the timeline. This is like 2007. So now we're in the MySpace days. We have a little bit of social media.
Okay.
Which is where we were talking a lot on MySpace and getting to know each other.
You were in my top 8.
I was in the top 8. Yeah,
Yep.
Tom was there,
Everybody's
probably
friend.
reading all of our texts and messages. But yeah, so we basically like communicated for a few months and got to know each other. Yeah. And so at that point I decided, all right, he's probably not a murderer. It's probably okay.
Probably.
And so, yeah, I went there with an open-ended ticket because we weren't sure how long I was going to stay for. It could have been a week if we didn't really like each other. And then it ended up being 3 months. And then because I'm Canadian and obviously Greg's American, for like the longest time, we would have to kind of, for the first 3 years of our relationship before we got married, I would spend 3 months in the States and then I would go home for 3 months. And so we would just kind of long distance relationship it is, you know.
The greatest thing about dating someone from another country, they gotta leave.
You have to.
Good.
But the problem
They're here
is,
for a while, then they're gone.
You gotta get out of there.
The problem is when you start telling your friends about your girlfriend from
Canada.
No, she's real. Trust me.
I promise she's real.
At least you had me to verify that she was real because I did meet her.
Well, we've backed each other up on a lot of stuff, I think.
That's awesome. That's
There's
an awesome
still
love
stuff to this
story.
day
I love
that
that.
until the
And that
statute
was-
of limitations ends, I'm not saying shit.
And you guys been together ever since?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like
15 years this year.
Yeah.
Married 10.
for 10.
Yeah.
So and then you somehow end up with a museum of haunted artifacts. How did that happen?
Accidentally.
Yeah, we were funny enough invited to give a lecture about how to get abducted by aliens, featuring a little experiment that ended up in Hellier.
I'm not familiar with the experiment.
Yeah, I don't know why you would be.
Jason remembers
it's
none
gone.
of it.
It's gone. And we were invited to a big paranormal convention they have down here in Kentucky, and they gave us a booth, but we didn't have anything to sell. We didn't have anything to promote, but we did have all this stuff from like all of our weird adventures. And, you know, we were the weird kids. So people gave us their haunted stuff. People that didn't want that scary haunted doll, they would give it to us. And so we had a selection of this stuff and we said, you know, let's just, let's put it out on display. No one ever has a chance to handle these things or, physically touch them. Most people's ideas about haunted objects are a lot different than ours. And so it's an opportunity to talk about this. And we had a little handwritten sign and people loved it. And we realized, wow, there's nothing like this. There's nobody seriously doing this. And so we committed to it, and now it's kind of overtaken our lives. That's
awesome.
Unbelievable. Cool. Yeah.
It does go back, as a parent, we talk about, like, I don't know what your parents felt like when you guys were doing that as kids, but it is find your passion, right? Mm-hmm. Find what you love. And then if you do that, you'll find the person you love because your passions overlap. I mean, it's really kind of a cool story about two people who probably, everyone else is like they're outsiders, but in reality, now you know that there were so many other people like you. And I feel like that with my kids, especially because, I see so many parents trying to jam their kids into cubby holes of like how they're supposed to behave. Sure. And the kids aren't like that. The kids are doing whatever they want to do. And then you find a beautiful story like that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, do you guys feel a certain, because this is a parenting show, so I guess we should pretend that that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
No, it doesn't have to be. I just thought it was a good analogy because now everything equates to kids. Even when I watch a movie now, I watch it differently. Like I do the joke about Jaws where it was just three adventurous guys hunting a shark, and now all it is a woman who watches her son get eaten alive on the beach. It's like once you're a parent, everything changes.
Sure.
It's just your perception. And so I see when you tell me those stories, it's nothing like my high school. Nothing like that.
Now, do you guys feel a certain, like, are there particular, I'm sure that there are, but are there feelings towards some of the artifacts that you've given personality to that have shown you who they are or what they are, that you feel a certain paternal instinct towards?
Yeah. And I think even, it's funny because people ask us a lot. I think the most common question we get is, what is it like to own all of this spooky stuff? And our stock answer is always, we don't own it. We're just taking care of it.
Mm-hmm. Right. See, that's what I want to know. Like for me, I've known you both a while. And so I want to know what it's like being parents to such wild ass children, because I've met some of them.
Yes, you have.
I have up close and personal. Some of them spawn are still here. And so what is that like for you guys living in basically the Muppet Show nursery?
It's so, to be completely honest, I mean, I'm always tell people 90% of the stuff that people send to us doesn't ever do anything strange. It's the other 10 to 5% that does the stuff that really changes the way that we see the world and the way that we interact with it. And there are things that seem to have some form of discarnate intelligence, some form of even a sense of humor. And I try to look at it like I look at any other relationship. Something we talk about all the time is how if you do a lot of this, especially like with what we do, we lead a lot of ghost hunts and we do a lot of ghost hunting events, and we do ghost hunting TV appearances here and there. You start to notice that people talk to ghosts like they're children. Every time you hear someone do an EVP session, or they're in a room and they're talking, they talk to ghosts like they're children, or like they don't think they're as smart as we are. Mm-hmm. And we've made an effort over the years to try to get rid of that. And when you kind of are able to get rid of that kind of goofy, I'm talking to something that maybe doesn't have my mental capacity. Mm-hmm. You start to realize that your relationship to these things changes in that way too, and sort of matures. And so I feel like we have an obligation to the things that we collect and protect and preserve. And I think a lot of that is reciprocated in ways too, because I know we've been in the car, even with you, Jason, when something has rattled and warned us that something is going on in a place and it's probably time to leave.
That was actually one of the craziest things, because I didn't know what was in the box.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and Jamie, just to kind of preface this, there's a church that's not far from us that has a volatile haunted history. And Greg, Dana, and I all have connections to the place through years of going there. And we pulled up one night after they were in town we were doing a 3D scanning initiative. And one of their crates containing a haunted object literally started rattling as if it wanted out, and it wanted out then and there. And I have never, and I've been doing this stuff since 1998, and I have never seen anything so determined to get like, and this is an inanimate object that I personally had never at that point seen it do anything. And all of a sudden I didn't even know what was in the box, and that box is shaking as if there is a live animal inside of it. And I literally, I'm like, I don't know what's in this little box that looks like this, but it's not happy. And I don't have explanations for a lot of this stuff. I just sort of, unfortunately, I joke about a lot of stuff, which has seldom gone well for me. But at the same time, I have seen some pretty crazy stuff with them that I can't explain.
But I think to the point that we were making, we were trying to discuss is this, forming a relationship with these things. That kind of experience to me is like, we had another experience that was very much like that right around the same time, where some guy at this gas station in the middle of the night gave us directions to a haunted place because he saw our bumper sticker, Art Bell bumper sticker. And we're, always looking for fun stuff. We're on the road all the time. So we're like, yeah, let's check it out. That guy totally set us up. And some guy came out of nowhere, smashed into the back of our car. And we're, this is probably, I think Maryland is where this happened. Friendsville.
So. Yeah.
Oh,
not a very friendly place, Friendsville. And middle of nowhere, this big ass old like Lincoln slams into the back of the car. I'm like, oh God, this is not what I want to do right now. So like I get out and I go and I notice the car door opens and it's full. 2 guys in the back, a woman in the front, all made up like Tammy Faye. And the driver is this dude who he looked like an old Southern minister. He had a bolo on. He had this big black eye, bloodshot. And he spoke real slow and soft. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry about that. You okay? And I could tell he's like looking in the car. And we've got all these antique trunks and all kinds of stuff in the back of this car because we were on our way to an event. And I was like, hey, man, I don't see a whole lot of damage here. There's not much damage there. I'm fine just letting it go if you are. He's like, oh, I think it'd be best if we exchanged information. And so I'm irritated and I go back to the car and I sit down and he goes back to his car and I'm rummaging through the glove box and Dana's like, what's going on? What's going on? It's middle of the night. We're a little nervous about this whole thing. And I'm like, oh no, he really wants to exchange information. So I hear the box start to rattle the same way that Jason had. The box starts rattling and it's that caused me to look in the rearview mirror, look at the box. But while I was looking in the rearview mirror, I see the 2 guys from the back seat got out and had popped the trunk of their Lincoln. And I went, screw this, I'm out of here. And I hit the gas and drove as fast as a Scion XB can drive. And that thing, I'm convinced that a haunted object saved my life. I'm convinced. Or at least
was it the same box? Was it the same object?
Same object.
Interesting.
Spooky.
Spooky. Very spooky. I love that stuff. It's great to hear that not the being scared by the ghost, but by other humans, because humans are pretty horrible.
They're
think
always the scariest.
It is. They are always the scariest.
They are way scarier. Yeah. Especially in small towns, right? Because then your brain starts to think of those movies with like, The Vanishing or Wrong Turn, and you're like, I didn't know these towns existed.
We've got like 4 of them here.
I was going to say where we're from. There's a lot of.
Oh, I'm from small town New Hampshire. I know it very well.
Oh, you do too. Okay.
When you said the dirt road where the grass was still growing in the middle, that was my favorite. It's such a good description because it's like this is a road I shouldn't be on. Like bad things happen on this road. Like people get shot and then dumped out of the back of a truck, and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly how this road works. Yeah. Gives you a chill. I don't like that. It's funny. He told me this, and I was like, and I was like, I hate those stories. They scare me.
There's a lot of of stuff that happens with the artifacts. I think even with things that necessarily, aren't necessarily artifacts or connected to artifacts, where there is a level of interaction that makes you, it makes you understand that there are things that maybe have trouble talking to us and we have trouble talking to it. Maybe they were human, maybe they weren't, and they can interact with us. They can form relationships and bonds with us. How it works, I have no idea, but they're there. They're there.
Now, has there been an object that you guys have, had amongst the collection that you really tried to like reach in some sort of way, that you were determined to make some side of kind of breakthrough because you knew that there was more going on there than what it was first portraying?
Yeah, I mean, it's always with a lot of the objects, specifically the ones that we find fall into the category of like, a little bit cranky. I don't ever like to use the word negative or evil, because most often we find that the ones that kind of have that type of behavior, there's a lot more to the story that hasn't been discovered at that point in time. And sometimes an object will act a certain way because we haven't figured out how to, like, we're very big on conflict resolution. So the idea is like, is there something that we can do to assist this? If there is an intelligence attached to it, obviously there's something that we're missing here. So like whenever we do come across those types of objects, our goals are always, like you said, is, can we figure out more? What is going on here? Is there something that we can do to help? So there's been a handful of those objects specifically where that was the goal. I mean, I can think of a few of them off the top of my head, but I mean, we might as well talk about
the Crone,
because that, again.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one. What's that about?
I saw someone ask the question, what was the object that was in the box in both of those stories? And that would be an object that was in our possession that we referred to as the Crone. And she's the very first object that we've had to return to her place of origin, because it was just, that was the best course of action for us and for the object itself.
This to give you an idea of what this thing is, it's some kind of an effigy that's carved in the shape of a woman, and her kind of arms are to her side, and she has nails in the eyes, 3 nails in each of the eyes, and a noose around the neck. And it was found in the Catskill Mountains. A couple hikers found it, did what you never do in a horror film. They took it home, and then start to experience typical poltergeist type phenomena where, there's banging on the walls. They've even noticed, wet footprints in the place, strange smells. The statue's never quite where they left it. And the final straw was they came home and they saw a woman standing in their living room, an old woman, stark naked, dripping wet, and they freaked out. We got contacted because a guy who was a PA on Finding Bigfoot, we'd just done an episode on Finding Bigfoot, and this guy had spent like 2 weeks listening to us tell these types of stories, and he was on Reddit reading this post, and he's like, if you're for real, you should contact these guys. They can probably help you. We had a conversation. A couple weeks later, a box shows up, and we do what we always do with these items. We take photos of it, kind of jot some stuff down, and that's it. Because like I said, 95% of the stuff never does anything. And there's a lot of spooky stories that people, Dybbuk boxes are all over eBay. There's all kinds of scary stories about stuff, and most of them never come true. So we didn't think about it. That night, we're watching television, and we hear a bang in the office. And I thought it was our cats. Anyone with cats knows a certain time of night, they just like to tear ass and go crazy. And I was like, well,
the zooms.
I'll go break them up. Don't worry. And I get to the office and I realize the door's closed. So I look for the cats. They're both hiding under the bed, scared out of their minds. Cats are a great early warning sign for weird stuff. Walk back into the hallway, open the office door, and nothing looks out of the ordinary until I realize Jesus has been ripped off of a crucifix and is laying on the floor. I almost step on him, and his just one arm is just swinging on the cross. And right below is this effigy. And that's when we realized, okay, we need to figure out what's going on here. We set up a trail camera, captures a bunch of stuff in the middle of the night. You can see like the actual statue move on its own in the middle of the night. Door closed, no cats in there, no vibrations, lots of that type of stuff. And then eventually things get so scary with it. We're seeing wet footprints in the house. Like there's photos of wet footprints standing on the back of our couch. Like something is just standing there watching us while we're watching television.
Freaking me out, man. Freaking me out, man.
And so we said the worst thing that happened that made us go, and there were a lot of things over the course of a couple years with this, traveling with this. It was one of the only items that was on our no touching list, just because we didn't know what it was or what it was used for or what was so upset.
And I mean, after this specific moment, it became an object we just couldn't travel.
Oh, Dana saw her. Dana saw her come out of our closet.
Like it,
and we were in bed, and she sees the closet open and this dark figure come out of the closet and then just slink.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about that.
Yeah,
there was like a period of time where there was so many things happening in our house. And like, again, you know, what Greg said earlier, one of the things that we don't like to do, we do a lot of intention setting. Intention setting is really big with us with the object specifically. We're just setting boundaries is what we're really doing. And so you can even set boundaries with, you know, a non-living entity. And so we set a lot of boundaries with objects that are very active where, you know, it's sort of like, this is our living space. We respect that, we respect you and we respect your space and we will give you space, but we don't want you to come into our living space. It's a lot of that kind of stuff, but it works because really what you're doing is you're setting intention. You're putting that energy out there and you're creating, you know, you're creating kind of positive environments for those energies to kind of coexist together. And the Crone up until that point, we really hadn't, you know, we didn't think that we needed to do that. And so at this point, there was a period of time where we were experiencing so many things in our apartment that we just knew this is going to be a very, you know, engaging object. And our investigation is going to be probably over the course of many years. And we're going to have to set this intention right here, right now and say, like, we will create a space for you, but we don't want you coming into our space. And it was very touch and go for a long time.
There was one event that convinced us that it had to go back, and it was when we got Jason involved after this.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know.
You're welcome.
Be different Jason.
We were at a conference. We were the Michigan Paracon was one of our favorites. Big, massive conference every year. And there's 2 rows, typically of booths of television personalities and, you know, people selling stuff and authors. And we were at the back with our museum, and there was a guy who had come a long way and really, really wanted to see the Crone. And we always vibe it out and try and figure out, is this the right crowd? Because there's some crowds that like they'll reach for it, and
if it's a more aggressive crowd, we usually keep some of the no touching things.
If they're the kind of crowd that watches the TV shows, the guys in the tight shirts who want to fight the ghosts,
we keep the scary stuff.
Typically keep the scary stuff
off
away.
the tables.
We were a little touch and go on this one, but this guy begged and begged, and he's like, I came so far. He's like, I've read this story. I really want to see this thing with my own eyes. And I was like, all right, fine. So I take it out, open the lockbox, pull her out of the pillowcase, and seconds after this happens, it was like a force shot down this aisle.
It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
The author across from us had a bottle of Coke, and it just popped and sprayed all over, ruined hundreds and hundreds of dollars of books. She starts howling and yelling. The lights start to swing.
Like the chandeliers that are hanging in the showroom are literally swinging.
Lights are flickering. Lights on the sides are flickering. And then all of a sudden, some guy about halfway down the aisle, like, we hear somebody shriek because this dude has kicked his head back and is having a seizure, and blood is pouring out of his mouth.
And this is like all in. Greg literally opens the box, and as he's opening the box, it's like do 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 do. These things just happen like in succession, one after the other.
And here's the thing: could be totally be a
Absolutely.
coincidence. Can absolutely be a coincidence. But I slam that box shut. The guy who had bet to see it starts to cry and say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." There were people who were running away, and we at that point said, "This thing has to go back."
Yeah.
But doing what we do, we want to have something tangible so we can still tell these stories. So we knew Jason was doing work with, he was actually already at the time helping us with a 3D scanning project. And we said, okay, let's try to scan her. Jason already had a weird occurrence with her, which made us not scan it at his house. We had to get a hotel room to scan this thing because he'd had a kind of a scary experience with her.
Do you want me to tell it? Because it's up to you guys.
No, I want you to tell it.
Okay. I may sometimes be irresponsible with the things that I say. I have occasionally been negligible with the lives of my children with haunted objects. I made one comment, forgetting through years of watching like this stuff go on, that these objects are very, very literal. Very, very literal. I made one comment that I will defend to this day was not even really that bad. I made a small joke that maybe I even said that I was joking that it could come and take my eldest child. That's what
it was a very like Sarah in Labyrinth moment where you're like, the Goblin King, can you come and take my brother away? Like it was literally that moment.
So those things always end real well.
Yeah, what happened?
No.
So thank the powers that be that my child was not here the night that this all went down.
It's unbelievable.
I am sitting in my living room and I hear this stomping upstairs. I'm like, wow, the cat's really going to town tonight. And then I look, I'm like, oh, cat's sitting next to me. Oh, dogs are sitting next to us as well. There's no one upstairs. And Jace is gone. So I get up and I start to go across my kitchen floor and I step in puddles of water. And I'm like, these are footprints. And I follow them to my door. Now it had snowed that night. I open the door. There are no footprints in the snow. And I'm like, this is not normal. And at that point, I came back and there's like a section between our living room and our kitchen that water poured from the ceiling. There's no water mains or anything above this. There's no reason that water should have poured down. I immediately FaceTime these two. I'm like, I need your help. What's going on here? And I explained to them what's happening. And one of you realized that I had made the comment, right? Is that how it went?
Yeah.
And I remember it was Dana going, did you go upstairs to check the nursery? And I said, no, I hadn't thought of that. So I take them along with me and we follow the wet footprints, which then I go up my stairs to the nursery door. I open the door. The wet footprints go into the room and end in a large puddle directly in front of my child's crib.
I don't like this story at all.
And then
Freaks me.
Stop it. Several days later, it was late, and my Amazon Alexas lost their shit, and they're saying, no, I can't do that right now, or something to that effect. And I'm like, what now? And at that point, I hear my child screaming bloody murder upstairs. I run up the stairs. The light is already on in the room, which he cannot reach from his crib. I fling the door open, and he is screaming and pointing in the corner. And I see the naked woman standing in the corner. At which point, I grab my child. She disappears. And the Newkirks get a very frantic call from me going, no, we need to fix this.
Yeah, she's right. You did invite her. You invited her.
Did I though? Because that's not what
Maybe you don't have a sense of humor.
specifically said that I was joking about it. Not
What do we know from watching Buffy? The gods never get sarcasm ever. Never speak Latin in front of the books, Gowin. Come
also,
on.
according to Giles,
Candyman, you can't say it 3 times. He'll come. He's it. Say Candyman 3 times. It's over, man.
Exactly.
Always some kind of. Hey, at least Greg and Dana know what it's like now to have kids, because all the time I'm like, I'll just go, what is that noise in the other room? And then I go in, stuff's broken.
Yep.
There's wet towels. There are
Weird
definitely
smell.
wet footprints all over the house.
Yeah. We say
And then
we
I got
don't
to pay
want to.
for, I got to pay for college. So these ghosts are way worse than those ghosts.
That's true. We don't have to pay
We
for
don't
college
have to
for
pay
them.
for college.
We do have to plan like lengthy and expensive trips into the mountain to rebury them and
That's
unbind
true.
them. But
I feel like Billy's
I
got a real
can't do
shot
that
at
with
Harvard,
these
though.
two. I tried. I Googled it, and apparently I'll go to jail if I bury them on some mountaintop.
give them a tent. Give them a
They'll
tent.
be all right.
Leave them some MRI or what do they call MREs?
MREs. Yeah.
Well, you guys, we've kept you long enough.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
My
for
kids are
being
still
here
awake. I
and
have
like
to put them
hanging
to
out
bed. My
tonight.
wife's gone for the night. She's not back till late, and my kids are like, they're like in there, like he's not coming. He's not coming.
never.
They're on their iPads.
Just don't make any jokes about the Crone tonight.
Say what?
Don't make any jokes about the Crone tonight.
I've already said too much.
Dude, I mean, I really do think there's a movie. I think there's a movie, especially because I met you guys and doing the Haunted Live and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody I spoke to, that was my first introduction. It's funny that you guys were doing that because I'd never heard of it.
Wow.
I mean, sure, I saw the Brady Bunch where Greg brought the totem
Mhm.
home and
Yeah.
it was haunted. Sure, I get it. Haunted totems or whatever. And then obviously in Aliens, we learned that cats are scared early. They're great. They're canaries in coal mines and stuff. But until I did Haunted Live, the first one with the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, I didn't know anything about it. And then doing it with you guys and the superstars of the whole thing, it was crazy with Schrader and Jack Osborne and all.
Yeah.
I was like, and everybody, because I was hosting it, I didn't really know what to do. So I spoke to everybody, and everyone told me stories that couldn't be explained. And I was like, I get it now. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I just never had that experience in my life. But I love it. And it's so much fun and so scary. So honestly, thank you for coming on, especially right before Halloween. I mean, this is going to be,
Of
I'm
course.
going to have some nightmares, I feel like.
Good.
What do you guys got coming up next? Where can people find you? Tell about the museum, everything. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, if people are curious about the museum, they can go to paramuseum.com. The next place we're going to be with some of the artifacts from the museum is the Mount Washington Hotel with Strange Escapes.
Mhm.
That's
It's
next month. That's strange-escapes.com.
Is that New Hampshire, Mount Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very scary. That's a very scary state in general.
You might have to
general.
pop by if you're out there.
I won't be there. I was just there though. I went to the school there. I grew up there, but it's
no
awesome.
kidding.
And Mount Washington's what a gorgeous place to go do it.
Gorgeous.
It's just
Bigfoot
fun.
hotspot too.
Very big
so it's
footy.
haunted in a Bigfoot hotspot. There's lots of stuff to do.
Yeah. Cool.
And we will be at some point next year. I don't know when. There is a documentary about the Crone that is about 95% finished. Jason's
wonderful.
in it. It's beautiful.
It basically documents the entire investigation and all of the people who helped, bring this investigation kind of to a close. It was pretty incredible. And Jason is a part of that entire experience.
Probably have the scariest recreation in the whole thing around Jason's
Easily
experience.
one of the scariest.
Also, the one that's going to get Child Protective Services called on me.
What do they do about ghosts? I don't know. But yeah, that's it. That's it. We're
And
pretty.
you guys are going to be on Disney Plus coming up soon?
Oh,
We
shit.
are,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, we took Jeff Goldblum Bigfoot hunting, and the 12th of November, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, episode 3, all about monsters. We'll be in that. Taking Jeff.
He's the coolest cat in town, man.
Incredible.
He's the best.
He's an actual alien. There's no way he's a real person.
He's like a fairy being, I think. He's
Yeah,
not
Tom
even
Bombadil.
real. Yes, he's Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
I did Will and Grace with him.
Oh, no kidding.
He played my boss on Will and Grace.
That's so cool.
Over 2 weeks, we did 2 different episodes, and he had the dressing room next to me. People don't understand. Jeff Goldblum's like 6'5".
Yeah, he's
huge.
He's a really tall guy.
And buff, like just jacked. He was jacked then. And
Was he singing all the time?
He was, and he had an assistant. He had a woman who was his assistant. And just before on tape day, she was there all week kind of doing stuff. And then before tape day, they had this crazy argument. They were screaming at each other and going down and talking and screaming and doing crazy things for hours before the taping. And then I spoke to her after. I was like, wow, that sounded terrible. Because she was like, oh, no, that's an acting exercise we do. Because, he's a big acting teacher. He's a serious actor. And you can see it because he makes it look, he's acting. Like, know, people, you think it's just how they do things when they talk like that. But he's the bomb, man. He's the bomb. I can't wait to see that show. That's going to be awesome.
It's so fun.
Very
so you took him on a ghost hunt? What was he like?
Bigfoot hunt. We took him on a Bigfoot hunt in the same redwood forest that he shot Jurassic Park 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's crazy.
It was Endor. We were in Endor. It was incredible, and he was just sitting there, like he was super into it. He did Bigfoot calls with us. We did tree knocking. He almost threw up when he smelled the Bigfoot pheromone chips. And
wait, Dallas and Wayne Bigfoot calls or Tim Holmes Bigfoot calls?
Both. But Dallas and Wayne's Bigfoot calls live on in Jeff Goldblum now.
We taught him the language.
Isn't that crazy?
That's the best tribute you could give to Dallas right there.
The craziest
That
thing.
is so cool. So that's coming out next year?
No, that'll be out the 12th
November
of November.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we'll have to do a little plug and show pieces. I don't know. We can't show any pieces of it. We've already been banged on YouTube, but I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see you guys go Bigfoot hunting. That's going to be insane.
That's cool. It was a good
Really
time.
cool.
Guys, thank you again. If you guys are free Thursday, I know you have a live stream thing, but Glory's going to be here, so you're welcome to join us.
Okay.
Very cool.
Claire Kramer.
Party over. That's
I gotta get Seth Green's. I did Robot Chicken with Seth as well a lot, and it was funny. I wasn't a huge Buffy guy back then. I didn't know it, but it's funny.
Great.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This all happened. This happened because of Buffy. So
the fact that Buffy kind of created that. What's happening here is nuts. It makes me laugh so hard. It's awesome.
It is not a surprise to me.
Claire's gonna love it because Claire does tons of. Have you guys done a convention with her? She goes.
No, I would literally not be able to speak to her. I would be crying.
Dana can't talk to those people.
I saw the actress that plays Buffy's mom at a convention once, and I literally was like, I can't even make eye contact. Like I couldn't even do it because I was just so nerdy.
She can Bigfoot hunt with Jeff Goldblum.
If I saw Glory and I literally be like, please say something mean to me, please. I love it so much. Call me one of your minions.
I have a few of those. I can't. I've done.
I wouldn't be able to. I'd be such a dork about it.
Of course.
All of our guests end up making me their verbal punching bag every single time.
Yeah, super funny. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for
coming.
Thank you guys. This was a blast.
You're welcome. Anytime. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.
Have a great night.
See you guys. Happy Halloween.
Happy
Halloween.
Wow.
Dude, we got to wrap this because I got to put those two maniacs to bed. That was unbelievable. That was super fun.
You're right.
Not a lot of parenting, but a lot of Halloween fare.
We have some cautionary tales of parenting.
Honestly, it's just a warm up. If you can deal with ghosts, it's the first step of dealing with.
Honestly, parenting is 10 times scarier than anything I dealt with.
Couldn't agree more. Next week, Steve Byrne is going to be here. If you don't know him, he was the star of Sullivan and Sullivan and Son. He is a huge national headlining comic. He's had specials on Netflix. Steve Byrne is here. Great guy, super funny, and a great dad. Hey, do us a favor if you can. If you watch us on the Parents Lounge on Facebook, be sure to like and follow it. If you do it on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. And if you do it on Twitch, I don't know how that one works.
Yeah, subscribe to us.
Yeah.
And also, share. If you're on iTunes, if you subscribe to us on iTunes, leave us a review. Let people know if you enjoy the show. Let us know if you enjoy the show. And, you can find Jamie Kaler, at Jamie Kaler and me at Jason Gowin. And let us know what you think of the show.
I love it. All right, we got to wrap. I got to put kids to bed. I love you guys all. Special show Thursday, 7 p.m. with Claire Kramer and
10 p.m. Eastern.
And Kate Mulligan and some special guests doing a little Halloween wine and spirits. So join us then. And we'll see y'all soon in the Parents Lounge.
Good night, everybody.